Welcome back to your training. We're about to dive into what is, without a doubt, the most critical lens you will ever use as a peer support coach: trauma-informed care. So think of this as your go-to review for Module 8. Mastering this stuff isn't just about passing an exam. It's about getting to the very heart of what peer support is all about.
Okay, let's just get right to the core of it. Everything you're going to be tested on, everything you're going to do in this role, it all boils down to this one fundamental shift. It's moving away from asking, "What is wrong with you?" which is, let's be honest, a question that's just dripping with judgment, and moving toward asking, "What happened to you?" That question opens the door to compassion, to curiosity. This single change, right here on this slide, is everything.
So before we can really start using this lens effectively, we have to get grounded in two things. First, what trauma actually is from a peer support perspective, and second, just how common it really is in the lives of the people we're going to be supporting.
Now, for your exam, you're going to want to know this definition from Tara Brach. It's so powerful because it gets us out of a cold medical diagnosis. It defines trauma as the human experience of being completely cut off from everything that makes us feel safe, capable, and loved. Really let that sink in.
76%. According to your workbook, that is the percentage of Canadians who report having experienced a traumatic event. Just take a second with that number. We're talking more than 3 out of every 4 people you meet.
And because that number is so incredibly high, we have to adopt something called the universal precaution. This is a huge exam concept, so listen up. It basically means we assume everyone we support might have a history of trauma. We don't need them to say a word about it. We just apply this trauma-informed lens with every single person every single time, no exceptions.
Okay, so what happens when you're in an interview and they ask, "So, how do you make sure your practice is trauma-informed?" Well, this is your answer. These 6 core principles are your practical toolkit. Let's break them down one by one. First up is acknowledgement. This is all about seeing that trauma doesn't just live in one little box. It touches everything: a person's housing, their health, their relationships. And for us, our job is to reframe what society might call problem behaviors. They're not flaws. They're adaptive coping skills that helped a person survive something unimaginable.
And here's what that actually sounds like. Instead of judging, you validate. You might say, "I hear how frustrated you are with yourself for using substances again, but I also want to acknowledge that for a long, long time, that was the only way you knew how to survive that pain." See the massive difference there?
Principle number 2, safety. And we're talking about all kinds of safety: physical, emotional, cultural. It's our job to create an environment where a person can finally let their guard down, maybe for the first time in a long time. That means being totally transparent and never taking a confrontational or "I'm the expert" kind of stance. And in a real session, this can be super simple but so powerful. You offer them control over their environment, asking something like, "Would you prefer to sit by the door?" Or, "Is there anything I can do to make this space feel safer for you?" It sends a clear message: your comfort and safety are my top priority.
Okay, next up is trustworthiness. You gotta understand, trauma just shatters a person's ability to trust other people. We help rebuild it brick by brick through simple consistency. It sounds basic, but it's vital. Show up on time, do what you say you're gonna do, and never, ever, ever promise something you can't deliver. You can even state this out loud to set the tone. My role is to walk alongside you, not to fix you. I will keep our appointments, and if I ever have to cancel, I promise I will let you know immediately. Right from the get-go, you're showing them you're reliable.
Principle 4 is choice and control. And this one is huge. Trauma is often the complete loss of control. So it only makes sense that recovery has to involve reclaiming it. In our work, that means the person we support always drives the bus. We give options, we never give orders. And here's a perfect example of that in action. You could say, "Would you like to keep talking about this? Or would you maybe prefer to look at those resources we mentioned?" And then you add the magic words. It is entirely up to you. You're literally handing the power right back to them.
Number 5 is all about collaboration. Real healing happens in relationships, not in isolation. So our job is to do everything we can to minimize that power imbalance you see in a lot of other helping professions. We flatten the hierarchy. You're not the expert on their life. You're a partner, a teammate on their journey.
And this script right here is a beautiful way to establish that partnership. I don't have all the answers for your life, but I promise I am here to help you figure this out. We're a team in this. With those words, you immediately position yourself as their ally. And finally, our 6th principle, empowerment.
This is all about making a conscious choice to shift the focus away from what's wrong and onto what's strong. You essentially become a detective for their resilience. You actively look for and point out their survival skills, their courage, and their incredible capacity for growth.
A really powerful example is just recognizing the effort it takes to show up. Saying something like, it took incredible courage for you to walk through those doors today, especially when you were feeling so anxious. That shows a ton of strength. You're basically holding up a mirror so they can see their own strength.
Okay, now that we've got the 6 principles down, let's talk about some of the high-risk areas. Really understanding these next few concepts is absolutely crucial for protecting the person you're supporting and, just as important, for protecting yourself in this work.
First off, let's talk words. The workbook suggests we try to move away from the word trigger. I mean, it can sound pretty violent and jarring, right? Instead, we can try using phrases like stressor, or feeling activated, or maybe experiencing discomfort. It's a subtle shift in language, but it really matters.
Now, this next one is so important. There are different rules for sharing trauma stories depending on whose story it is. For you, the peer supporter, you do not share graphic details of your own trauma. You share the impact it had on you and the resiliency you built because of it. For them, the peer, they are allowed to share details if they choose to. Your job in that moment is to listen without judgment and help them stay grounded if they start to get overwhelmed. And hearing these difficult stories, well, it has an effect on us. That's called vicarious trauma. You can think of it as the cost of caring. This is a key exam concept. Recognizing the signs of this in yourself and having a real self-care plan is not a nice to have. It's a core professional responsibility.
All right, let's put all this theory into practice. Think of this next part as a dress rehearsal for your exam. We're going to walk through 2 really common scenarios and figure out a trauma-informed response.
Okay, scenario 1. A peer is upset and yells at you. You don't understand anything. Your first instinct might be to get defensive. Don't do it. Step 1. Regulate yourself. Take a breath. Stay calm. That creates safety. Step 2. Validate their emotion. I can hear how frustrated you are with me right now. That's acknowledgement. Step 3. Offer them an out. Do you want to take a quick break, or would you be willing to tell me what I missed? That's choice and control. See how it works?
Scenario 2. A peer asks you, so what exactly happened to you? Remember our rule. Share the impact, not the graphic details. A perfect response sounds something like this. I went through a really tough period where I felt completely overwhelmed, and I learned that for me, connecting with a group was what made all the difference. And then, and this part is key, you immediately pivot it back to them. How does that maybe connect with what you're experiencing?
We're in the home stretch now. Here is your final rapid-fire summary. These are the absolute must-know takeaways for your exam. If you only have room in your brain for a few key things, make it these 4 points.
Number 1, trauma is an injury, not a character flaw. Number 2, safety and trust are the foundation. Nothing else gets built without them. Number 3, always use the universal precaution. Assume trauma is in the room. And number 4, the question that changes absolutely everything is, what happened to you? And that right there is the lens. That is the entire shift. It's the question you will carry with you into every single interaction you have in this role. What happened to you? Once you master that question, you've truly mastered the heart of this work.